closed the trains. I had to walk all the way to my headquarters of National Action Network. When we got there were people everywhere. Cell phones was down, and people came to our headquarters to see if we could tell them what was happening, whether we were out of danger. And for the first time since I was a little boy, I started preaching, as Bishop said, since I was a little boy. And I always had something to say, but first time in my life, I couldn't find words to say. And Jimmy, I went in my office, Terry Anderson, I trying to figure out what could I say. And I thought about this old preacher told me this story. He said, Al, I had to preach one Sunday, the early service, and I started reading this novel about 8 o'clock that night. And I got so into it that I couldn't put the novel down. I looked at the clock, it was 10 o'clock. I wanted to go to bed, but I couldn't put the novel down. It was so intriguing. I kept reading it. Turned out, looked again, it was 11:30. I said, Lord, I got to get some rest. I got to get up too early. But I couldn't put it down. He said, I kept reading. Finally, it was after midnight. And he said that, Al, I got to tell the truth. I decided then I would cheat. And I turned to the end of the book to find out how the story was going to end. I want you to know, on 9/11/2001, I want the family to know, like I told Michael Brown's family, that afternoon I cheated. I sat in my office and I took my Bible out. And I turned to the end of the book. And I know how this story is going to end. The first will be last. The last will be first. The lion and the lamb is going to lay down together, and God will take care of his children. We got some difficult days ahead, but I know how the story's going to end. There's going to be justice for George Floyd. There's going to be justice for Eric Garner. This story won't end like this. God will never leave us nor forsake us. I've been to the end of the book. Let's fight on. Let's stand together. Let us not leave this family now that the ceremony is over. This is the beginning of the fight. It's not the end of the fight. George, I read on the front page of the New York Times this morning, you said you wanted to touch the world. Well, God had already made you for that. But you didn't touch it in a basketball court or football court. God had something else for you to do. Because all over the world, George, they're marching with your name. You touched the world in South Africa. You touched the world in England. You touched every one of the 50 states. Even in a pandemic, people are walking out in the streets, not even following social distancing, because you've touched the world. And as we lay you to rest today, the movement won't rest until we get justice.